When it comes to ghosts, many of them are pretty harmless, but poltergeists are not the typical kind of ghosts. They have a reputation for letting their presence be known through destruction and violence. So here are 5 scary cases of poltergeist activity. South Shields is a coastal town at the mouth of the River Tyne in England. It was here in the summer of 2006 that a young couple and their 3-year-old son were terrorised by a nasty spirit. Their real names haven't been revealed, but they're typically known as Mark and Mary Ann. The haunting began in December 2005. The spirit stacked chairs, moved chest of drawers and slammed doors. The couple stated the spirit was malicious, and that it had a thing for cuddly toys. One night in bed, Mary Ann felt her son's toy dog hit her on the back of the head. She sat up and turned on the lights just in time to see a second stuffed toy flying in her direction. The couple cowered under the covers but felt something trying to pull it away. All of a sudden Mark yelled and 13 scratches appeared on his back. While the spirit had shown that it could cause direct physical harm to humans, it seemed determined that toys were the way to go. It hung a rocking horse from the ceiling by its reins. Then it placed a large cuddly rabbit in a chair at the top of the stairs. The ghost left messages on the young boy's whiteboard, and even sent text messages that couldn't be traced to any phone or computer in this world. They were threatening messages like, "You are dead." Even the couple's 3-year-old son sometimes went missing. He would be found hiding in random parts of the house cuddled up with his blanket. The family called in 2 paranormal investigators. The experts determined that the spirit was real. Starting in 1965, the Ferreira family of Brazil was apparently victimized by an incredibly violent spirit. It started off with bricks falling out of nowhere in their home. After a short time, it became apparent that the spirit was focusing its attention on 11-year-old Maria. To chase the spirit away from the girl, the family had a priest perform an exorcism, but that only seemed to make things worse. More bricks started to fly around the house and even furniture. But where this story gets terrifying is that it became violent with Maria. She was often attacked by an unseen force that left bruises and bite marks. One time while she was at school, her clothes began to smoulder, then they caught on fire. Finally, needles were mysteriously embedded into her skin. One time, 55 pins were removed from her ankle. This went on for a year, then the family contacted a medium. The medium said Maria was being haunted by a vengeful ghost. Apparently, Maria had been a witch in another life, and in that life she'd killed the person who became the spirit. The medium also said the spirit would never leave. Sadly, 5 years after the haunting started, Maria took her own life by poisoning herself. Many poltergeist stories suggest that the phenomena may be caused subconsciously by a person with some sort of psychokinetic ability. This is when they can move things with their mind but not consciously control their power. That's what seems to have happened to Carol Compton. In the early 1980s, Compton worked as a nanny in Italy, but it didn't go well. When she was with her first family, a painting fell from the wall when she walked by. She went to stay with them at their holiday home in the Alps, but that burned down during their vacation. When the family returned home, random fires began appearing around the house. The family eventually let Compton go when a fire started in their son's room. Compton found another job shortly after. It didn't take long before household objects began flying around and a mattress caught on fire. The family sacked Compton immediately when a fire engulfed the room of their 3-year-old daughter. The family had Compton arrested and she was charged with arson and attempted murder. Luckily, no one was hurt during any of these fires. The trial became a media circus. The public perception was that she was a witch. Catholics gathered outside the court, crucifixes in hand, and chanted prayers. The trial took 16 months, during which time Compton was kept in prison. No one had actually witnessed her starting a fire, which made the prosecution's job difficult. Fire and falling objects just seemed to follow the young woman. Eventually she was convicted of arson, but the attempted murder charges were thrown out. The judge decided that the 16 months she'd already spent inside were punishment enough, so she was released. The Great Amherst Mystery. In 1879, Daniel Teed lived in a large home in Amherst with his 2 sisters-in-law, a brother-in-law and his brother. One of those sisters-in-law, a young girl named Esther, was the target of a horrible spirit. It started one night when her body unnaturally swelled up and her bed sheets flew off the bed. When family members tried to fix the sheets back to the bed, they'd fly off again. The next night they asked the doctor to check on Esther. He sat in the room and waited for Esther to fall asleep. A little while after she did, he saw her pillow start to move. He tried to hold onto the pillow, but it was yanked out of his hands by an invisible force. Then he heard a weird scratching noise, and when he looked to the wall, an invisible hand had carved, "Esther Cox, you are mine to kill." Following that incident, every so often small fires would appear throughout the house. Also, the spirit somehow communicated with the family saying that it would burn down the house unless Esther left. So for the safety of the family, Esther went to stay at a local inn, but the ghost apparently followed her. While she was staying there, a knife flew out of the hands of the innkeeper's son and went into her back. The infection from the stab wound nearly killed her. Esther got a job as a shipping clerk. A few months into the job, she was arrested for arson. A barn caught fire on a property where she lived. She was convicted and given 4 months in prison. Once she was out of prison, Esther married, had a family and died in 1912. Greyfriars Cemetery in Edinburgh is home to a ghost with a terrible reputation. It's the location of the tomb of George McKenzie, a 17th century Scottish lawyer. He was responsible for 18,000 opponents of King Charles II being put to death, which earned him the nickname Bloody McKenzie. Back in 1999, a homeless man broke into the tomb in order to find shelter from the cold. He then climbed into the coffin, and it all went wrong. The coffin crumbled all over the terrified man, and he ended up running away, covered in the dust of the long dead man. People soon started making claims about unusual activity around the tomb. The city council closed the cemetery to the public until tour guides set up an official ghost tour. Since then, 350 people claim to have been attacked by poltergeist around the tomb. There have been stories of broken bones caused by the spirit, and 170 people have passed out during the tour. There's another grave at Greyfriars that could well be the cause of the evil force. Harry Potter fans have been visiting the cemetery to lay messages beside the grave of a man named Thomas Riddle, which some have speculated is the spirit behind the attacks. So that's 5 creepy poltergeist stories. If you have any stories that are spirit related, please leave a comment below as I'd love to hear them.